we're continuing on with some more problems where we're looking for two different things so we can set up a system of equations. So here's a problem. A rental car company charges a flat daily fee plus a charge for each mile driven, so it's a per mile charge. A car rented for 5 days and driven for 300 miles costs $178, while a car rented for 4 days and driven for 500 miles costs $197. Find the daily fee and mileage charge. So we're going to set up two variables because we're looking for two different things. We're looking for the daily fee. Now you could let it be X, or I'm going to let it be D for daily fee. And we're going to do the per mile charge. I'll let that be M. So I'm using D and M. You're able to use any variables you want because we're setting up the variables so it'll be easy for us to write an equation and solve it. The problem is a word problem. There are no variables. We're using algebra to help us solve this problem. So what do we have? A car rented for 5 days and driven for 300 miles. All right, now if you're renting a car for 5 days and it costs D dollars per day, it's going to charge you right off the bat 5D. Added on to that are the mileage charges. If you're driving for 300 miles and it costs M, let's say cents per mile, then that's going to be 300 M. Does that make sense? And that is $178. So see if that makes sense to you. 5 days costs D dollars per day. This is M. That's going to be in dollars and cents because I'm doing everything in dollars here. Since 178 is in dollars, M will be in dollars and D will be in dollars. So we have to be careful at the end to remember that. All right, see if you could write the second equation. How much would it cost? 4 days and driven for 500 miles costs $197. Put it on pause, see if you could write the second equation, and then come back. Second equation, you should get 4D plus, it's 500 miles, so each mile times M, whatever that cost is $197. Well, not really a fun equation to solve, but doable. Use your calculator to figure it out. So now in this case, I would definitely use the addition method because it's not easy to solve for D or M in either equation. So you've got a variety of options here. You can get the D's to cancel by multiplying the numerator by 4 and the denominator by -5, or the numerator by -4 and the denominator by -5. But basically, or whatever I said, I think I said that backwards. But you've got to make sure either the D's have opposite coefficients or the M's have opposite coefficients. And remember, you're looking for basically the least common multiple of the coefficients. So go ahead, use your calculator, go all the way through it, deal with the decimals if you end up with decimals, etc., and solve for either D or M. Then go back to one of these equations and figure out the other variable, and you should come up with a daily fee and the per mile charge. So put it on pause, work through it, lots of algebra, and let's see what you get. Okay, all of the algebraic work that I did to solve this problem is shown. So I chose to have the D values cancel out, the D terms, so I multiplied the top by -4 and the bottom by 5, getting these two new equations, then adding together, being very careful of your positive negative signs. You could certainly use a calculator. I got M equals 0.21. Now remember, that means 21 cents, right? Because we're doing everything in dollars, and that seems reasonable, a mileage charge of 21 cents. And now I go back to one of the original equations that I wrote, doesn't matter which one, so I took the top equation and plugged in 0.21 for M and solved to get D. So I got M as 0.21, D is 23. Now we've got to make sure this all makes sense. Okay, here was the original problem, and we got that D was 0.21, and we got that M was 23. So basically, we're saying the daily fee was, so I did that backwards. I put in the wrong value. D was 23. D was 23 and M was 0.21. So the daily fee was $23. So it was $23 per day, and the per mile charge was 0.21 cents, or you could write 21 cents. So first of all, it looks like that's going to be correct. Now I want to go back to the original problem and see if this was the daily fee and the per mile charge. Does the information it gave us at the beginning, is it still true? So it says a car was rented for 5 days and driven for 300 miles. Okay, so 5 days. So here's our check. So we've got 5 days would be 5 times, okay, 23 bucks a day, right? That's going to give us our daily charge. And then our mileage is 21 cents times 300 miles. So 300 miles is going to be 21 cents times 300. So it's 0.21 times 300. So let's see what that is. Well, if we do 5 times 23, that's $115. Okay. And then we have to do 0.21 times 300, which is $63. And that's $178. And let's go back. It said that if you rented a car for 5 days and drove it for 300 miles, it should cost $178. Cool. That worked out. Okay, let's check the other one. Let's say you did it for 4 days. 4 days, you would have 4 times your 23. Okay, that's going to be $92 for your 4 days. That's your daily fee. And then you're driving 500 miles. So doing 500 miles times 21 cents. So you have to do 500 times 0.21, and that's $105. See, that'd be easier if I lined up that 92 correctly, if I'm going to add down. So that would be $197, and it says yes, that was the cost. So it's correct. The daily fee really was $23. The per mileage was 21 cents per mile, and that's the full answer and all the steps for this problem. And you could expect it takes a good 10 to 15 minutes to do a word problem usually.